Hey folks, welcome to the Wealth Transfer with TC. Today I'm doing a follow-up and discussing on some of the reasons why I am doing some of the things that I'm doing concerning the videos that I've been putting out recently. And I shared with you guys that I'm not going into 2023 the same. And I've been watching a lot of different videos on some of these prophecies that have been coming out, ones that have been giving dates and time frames with all these seasoned so-called prophets. And you can tell from the comments over the last 4 or 5 videos that there's a lot of people that disagree with what I'm saying. They say that I'm judging, which I'm not, because the Bible tells us if we want to know if a prophecy is from God, then it will come to pass. So if somebody says that something is going to happen by October the 22nd, then it should happen by October the 22nd. If people say that the return of DJT is going to happen by the end of 2022, then it should happen by the end of 2022. If somebody says the wealth transfer is going to happen by the end of 2022, then it should happen by the end of 2022. And thankfully, I did not get caught up in a lot of these so-called prophets who are giving all these dates and time frames concerning the return of DJT. And that's one of the most important things that I want to discuss right now, because it has become an infection. And there is a delusion that is out there. There are so many people trapped in this matrix of these false prophecies. And they keep giving you false hope concerning the return of DJT. And many people believe that the wealth transfer will not happen until DJT returns. And that's why it's so big as far as this whole thing with the wealth transfer. I never said that DJT has to be in office in order for it to happen. I expect the wealth transfer to happen at any time, regardless of whoever is in office. I could care less who's in office. The whole purpose of the wealth transfer is to use it for God's kingdom. And I think this is one of the reasons why I feel like I'm impressed to start sharing these things, because when the wealth transfer does happen, many of you are going to be giving to all these false prophets and increasing their ministry. Let me share something with you folks. These are supposed to be seasoned prophets. Now, do I expect people who are prophets to be completely accurate? No. The office of a prophet I take more seriously than somebody who's posting a dream or a vision, right, who's not claiming to be a prophet. But I will say this. There's the fivefold ministry: the apostle, the prophet, the evangelist, the teacher, and the shepherd. I do not expect perfection out of the apostle. I do not expect perfection out of the evangelist or the pastor, because they do make mistakes. I have been assistants to pastors for many years, and I have seen them make many mistakes. It doesn't mean that they are not a pastor. And then also teachers. And most definitely, I have never expected somebody who runs in the office of a teacher to be 100% accurate. You know why? For the simple fact of much of the Bible is mistranslated. You have all these different versions of the Bible, so even if somebody is anointed to teach, they may not always get it right. If the Bible was 100% accurate in the English translation, you wouldn't need a concordance. So I do leave grace. But at the same time, you remember in the Old Testament that they used to strike down prophets that they got it wrong once. That's how bad it was if you did something like that. God did not like using his name being used in vain. And we've all done it. At some point in our lives, I'm sure we have all used God's name in vain. And that's not cursing. That's like saying, basically, God said that this is going to happen by this date and it doesn't happen. That's using God's name in vain. And let me share something with you. People saying that let God be the judge. Is that what he said in the Bible? Is that what he said in the Old Testament? Is that what he said in the New Testament? You're adding scripture. God did not say any of that. God said in the Old Testament that if you want to know if I am speaking a word from a prophet, if it comes to pass, then it is. If it does not come to pass, then it is not from God. And they speak it presumptuously. And that word is translated into pride also. And you know the reason why that I'm not afraid to talk about this subject? In Deuteronomy 18:21, it says, "You may ask in your heart, how can we recognize a message that the Lord has not spoken? When a prophet speaks in the name of the Lord and the message does not come to pass or come true, that is a message that the Lord has not spoken." The prophet has spoken presumptuously, which also means prideful. Do not be afraid of him. So I'm not afraid to speak about this, and I'm not afraid to test the spirits, and I'm not afraid to talk about it. You guys are, because it puts at risk the people that you have put on a pedestal. It puts at risk your faith in what you've been hearing. People act like there are no false prophets in this world. You think it's people. Look, you're not going to see them coming. They are wolves in sheep clothing, which means you are not going to see them coming. So you have all these so-called prophets prophesying the return of DJT since 2020, since the end of the election. Not only did they prophesy the elections wrong, but ever since then, they prophesied all the way up until the inauguration. They prophesied that the inauguration wasn't going to happen. They prophesied all of 2021 that DJT was going to return. They prophesied all of 2022 that DJ was going to return. What do you call that? When they say that God said, that this is God's will. And then everybody wants to extend everybody's dated prophecies. That goes against the very Bible you read. God said there are many false prophets. In the New Testament it says, do not believe every spirit, but test the spirit. So we're testing the spirits, and I'm just showing you what's out there. Right? If it's okay to show the prophecy, right? Because I've done that, right? I've shown prophecies, and it was okay to show it then. But when I show whether or not if it came to pass, then you guys want to throw the stones at me. And that's being very hypocritical. Luckily, I didn't show Julie Greens. Luckily, I stopped showing Hank Kuhneman. Not because of what anybody else showed me. It was because I was showing his videos and his prophecies were not coming to pass. And I don't understand why people don't listen. I have shared so many prophecies with dates and time frames. And I tell you guys, this is for you guys to learn and discern. And then people turn around and accuse me, well, you're showing people that their prophecies aren't coming to pass. Yeah, because you know what? Most of the time when I share these people who are giving dated prophecies, I already know that it's not going to come to pass. Because there has been yet that I have seen concerning the wealth transfer, somebody who's giving a dated prophecy and it's coming to pass. And there is a great delusion. And I pray that it is broken after I get done making these videos. Because there's more to come. And many of you are not going to like it. And you know what? I don't care if you unsubscribe. I don't care if you don't support on Patreon. I don't care. And if I had to ban a lot of people because it gets to the point where you're cursing at me and calling me names, then I have to ban you off my page. That's another reason how I know that what is going on within the prophetic and wealth transfer community is evil. I didn't make the prophecies. They did. You say I'm causing division? No, I didn't. They did. They made the prophecy. People say, well, false prophets lead people away from God. What happens if you are constantly making prophecies, claiming they are from God and they don't come to pass? How many of these people made prophecies, personal prophecies in people's lives, and they didn't come to pass? If somebody just became a Christian and they start listening to Julie Green just at the beginning of last year, what do you think their faith is when they hear all these prophecies that have not come to pass? And I've shared with you guys Jeremiah 27 and 28. I told you, if Trump is to return, if he is what everybody says he is, then there is a time period that he has been removed and will come back. In Jeremiah 27, God told Jeremiah to prophesy the people of Israel were going to be under bondage, under Nebuchadnezzar in Babylon. The prophet Hananiah came against what God's will was, and he died. We are in the time period where Babylon is ruling right now. And you guys keep listening to these prophets instead of praying, right? If these prophets were right about everything, then everything should have changed already. I'm going to be sharing clips of people saying, by 2022, some of these people that you put upon a pedestal, there's an infection in the wealth transfer community. One, because many people believe that Trump needs to return before some of these things happen. And I keep hearing over and over again that DJT's behind the scenes. He's working things out. All this and all that. No, he's not. He's not the one signing things into law. If it was all a show, then why are these laws going into effect, the ones that Biden are signing? Right? Did you know that when I first heard about Q, and I'm not sure if I was even making videos by then, but my mom was really sick. And he was talking about releasing the cures for all these different things. A year later, my mom died. There are people all around the world that are dying right now because of the evil that is going on. But it's supposed to be a show? Who says it's a show? Some of these prophets are calling what's going on as a show, but people are dying. Let me share something with you. DJT, if he was in control, he's behind the scenes, and everything is fake, right? In this whole world, this whole bubble that these prophets have put you in, right? Look, man dies by taking himself out while waiting for sentencing. And he's not the only one. There's been at least 2 or 3 people that have done that. Police officers taking themselves out. Look at all these people. 3 years in federal prison, 7 years, 7 years. 50 people sentenced for J6. Miss Ashley died. Somebody else died of a heart attack. Somebody else got trampled. But DJT is in control, right? He asked people to come out to do this, and all this happened. So why aren't these people being vindicated? When somebody dies, they're gone. That's it. There's no coming back. Many of you guys are in a great delusion. And not only that, and it just popped in my head to remind people, the people that are in the wealth transfer, some of you we have discussed and talked about. Many of you are influenced by what is going on with these return of DJT prophecies, and you're influenced by these same prophets. And you need to cut all those out and stop listening to them. Actually, prophets shouldn't even really be listening to other prophets or dreams or anything like that anyway. Not very much. And I'm sorry, I know that I'm offending a lot of people, especially when it comes to Julie Green. But I do have a video coming out. And it's going to show prophecy after 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 prophecy that failed, that she gave dates and time frames on, including people dying and the angel of death and all that stuff. There are many people that are under this delusion. People talk about the great delusion, and you're thinking, oh, maybe it has to do with UFOs. No, you guys are under a great delusion now. You're under this whole matrix, people are under this whole Trump matrix thing right now, thinking that he's in power and in control and doing things behind the scenes. But yet there are millions and actually billions of people whose lives have been affected. And some of you are like, well, the prophecy didn't come to pass by the date, but it will come to pass. No, that's not how it works. God doesn't work like that. He doesn't give prophets dates and then they don't come. You guys make every single excuse. People say Jonah. Well, what about Jonah? First of all, that's a conditional because that dealt with judgment and repentance. These are financial prophecies. These are prophecies dealing with the return of a president that keep failing over and over and over and over and over again. False prophets are going to speak in the name of Christ. What does the Bible say about false prophets? They're wolves dressed in sheep's clothing. So they're going to sound like everything that mainstream Christianity is. They're going to sound like a Christian. They're going to act like a Christian. They're going to preach like a Christian. They're going to teach like a Christian. Inside, they want to destroy you. So you will never know if any of these people are false prophets, right? But you know what gives them away? When they keep saying God said, and then they give dated prophecies, and then they don't come to pass. And then they stroke your political ego. Like as if the Democrats are the only ones in the whole entire world doing anything wrong. But yet we should be praying for our leaders. Yet we should be, I mean, think about it, folks. What if everybody was to pray for the Democratic Party? What if everybody was to pray for all the bad actors? And some of them begin to change and give their lives to Christ. Well, you wouldn't know, because guess what? Everybody else is calling out the angel of death on them. Literally, I just saw one of these people calling out the angel of death on some of these people, and people in the crowd clapping. But the Bible says something different, but to come to repentance and everlasting life. People talking about our weapons of warfare are prayer. No, your weapons of warfare are the false prophets that are out there speaking these things. All these people are supposed to be seasoned prophets. There should be very little room to error. We should be looking at the same thing. Kim Clement he gave a dated prophecy for 2010 that did not come to pass. But he's also had a lot of prophecies that have come to pass, but he doesn't have a whole bunch of dated prophecies. And that's why I had to show you guys that this movement is using Kim Clement. He never spoke like any of these prophets did. He always talked about praying for the leaders, always about praying for them, for their salvation. That was the major difference between Kim Clement and many of these other people. This wealth transfer that they preach is different from what we have been shown. It's not people comprised of all these so-called prophets and seasoned prophets, right? All the things that I've been putting in the documents, right? They're not by any of these people. And anybody who's promoting these people, you need to beware of them too. Because let me share something with you. When it came to RC, Robin Cunningham, failed prophecy after failed prophecy after failed prophecy. I could count at least 50 dated prophecies that did not come to pass. Where's that coming from? That's the whole point. Where are all these return of DJT prophecies coming from? They're not coming from God. Because if they were coming from God, they would come to pass. That's what you guys don't understand. You're under a great delusion that DJT is in office, that he's still in office behind the scenes, and that is a great delusion that you guys are under. It is a spell that these prophets have put you under. I'm sorry to say it, it's the truth. I told you guys the mistakes that I have made. And people are like, well, what about all the people that you do follow? They don't have prophecies that haven't come to pass. They're not giving you dated and time frame prophecies and then making excuses. None of them that are making these dated and time frame prophecies are coming back and saying I was wrong. And I hold prophets to a whole higher standard than somebody who's having a dream in a date, because for the simple fact that we can be influenced. Folks, I don't share with you the dreams and visions that I have. You know why? Because I watch so many videos, and I watch a lot of the news, especially financial news, that I know that I would be easily influenced. Sometimes when I think that God is sharing something with me, I don't tell you, 99% of the time I don't tell you that I believe this is what God is sharing with me. Sometimes it's been right, and sometimes it's been wrong, but I don't share that because I don't know. That's the honest truth. I watch so much and look at so much. It would be ridiculous for me to share things with you guys, knowing that with all the things that I'm inputting in my body, through my eyes and my ears every single day. So this wealth transfer that these guys are promoting is not the wealth transfer that we know of. The wealth transfer that we know, you have to put in. You're not going to get everything wiped out. How many times have I heard over the last 3-4 years, it's the Jubilee? Now, it's not to say that God can't do it, because I know of personal stories of people who have said one day they owed student loans and all of a sudden it was gone. Some people have said that they had a mortgage and next thing you know it was gone, or it was showed paid off. However it happened supernaturally, that's fine, but it did not happen collectively as a whole. And when it comes to these dated and time frame prophecies, people are like, well, it's all in God's timing. Folks, are you that delusional that when somebody gives you a date and they say that it's from God, but it's in God's timing? Well, God's timing was the date that he gave that prophet. That's how delusional all this is. I mean, folks, there's so much going on all around the world, and for people to think that DJT is still in control, You're under the delusion and the spell of the false prophets. And where are they getting their prophecies from? From their own flesh and probably from the dark side. Let me share something with you. I have a list of channels that I follow. And all these people keep track of these prophecies, whether it's from Julie Green or Bo Pony or from other individuals, mostly about DJT returning and many other things. I'll give you an example. Drew Bloom. He keeps track of a lot of what Kat Kerr says, what Julie Green says, and some other prophets. Robin Bullock. I've heard him. Folks, over the last, I've been following these people for some time, but you know what? I never really followed any of these people anyway, like Timothy Dixon or Kent Christmas or Julie Green. I never really followed them anyway because I thought they were all full of it to begin with. But I have been listening to video after video after video. And some of these prophecies I'm going to be using to share with you guys the truth. You know, here's this one by Kent Christmas. And I'm going to share that in another video. But he said that there's not going to be an election stolen. And that the Republicans were going to win. And guess what? That didn't happen. So it was a failure. And there are so many channels, folks. It is not just one person. There's multiple channels that do this. Here we go. We got this other guy, Evangelism of God. He's following Camille Hendricks. Remember, she gave the Shiba Inu by the end of the summer. That didn't happen. We gave grace, right? But then we had October the 22nd, and the bank's failing, and your card's not working, and to pull all your money out of the accounts. And that did not happen. Troy Black is another one. I shared with you guys that I was showing his prophecies, and they weren't coming to pass, so I stopped showing them. So, do I always agree with everything that they say about every single person? No, but 99% of them. This is not just one or two prophecies or three prophecies, folks. This is going on over and over and over and over again. And here's another one, Matthew 7:15, following these different prophecies. So when I hear these, and I'm hearing them over and over again, and they're just falling to the ground, these prophecies, it makes me angry because I know so many of you are deceived and are delusional about especially what's going on with Trump. That's the biggest one. Regardless of when he's going to come back, regardless if it's the 2024 election, whatever the case, all these people have been saying that he was supposed to return, not just by the end of 2022, but they were saying it in 2020 and 2021. And when it comes to some of these prophecies, like people winning elections, it's a 50-50 shot, right? Think about it, right? Just like the Herschel Walker thing. It was a 50-50 shot. Julie Green said, God said that Herschel Walker was going to win, and he didn't. Then we can even go to her Netanyahu prophecy that she made in 2021. And people say, well, look, it did come to pass. When she made that prophecy, she was referring to the election that was coming up and that he was not going to lose and that he was going to win and expose the election corruption. And it didn't happen. And guess what? Okay. Well, everybody knew that Netanyahu is still vying for power. And when the next elections were going to come up, it was a pretty much, you can guess whether or not if he was going to win or not. But there's no election corruption being exposed. So people use that old prophecy that was meant for 2021. And we're going to listen to it again, not today. But I'm going to share with you guys how delusional some of you are. And so this document will be down below in the description. You can go to their video section and you can search by name, right? And plus there's a lot of other individuals. All you have to do is just type in whoever's name and type in false prophet. Now, I'm sorry that a lot of people are going to be offended. I don't care if I lose subscribers. I don't care if I lose Patreons because I'm doing what I feel is right and necessary before we get into the real wealth transfer, what we have been doing, what we have been studying, what we have been learning, not just from the spiritual, but from the natural. I can't get you guys to watch videos on learning how to trade, but you will sit there and watch Julie Green videos all day long. Well, it's too much to learn how to trade, but you don't mind spending hours every week watching these ridiculous DJT return, the angel of death and all this stuff. And let me get into that. I'm going to get into a whole nother video. But she called the angel of death on all these people. Not salvation, not asking you to pray for their souls, not asking God to change your hearts. And she's prophesying the death of all these different people. When it comes to Kamala Harris, we have different prophecies from other prophets that say something different than what Julie is saying. And I have to do a rebuttal because when it comes to Manuel Johnson and his time travel vision, and when he had that, he was going around on all these different channels talking about it and talking about get ready, here on his own video concerning the return of 45. Right? He says right here, you can't see the rest of it, 45th triumphant return, right there. Right? And he's talking about it. Get ready, saints, glory days. Again, he's talking about the return of DJT. Here's another one, urgent update news, 45th is ready. So he's been going around talking about this prophecy as if it's going to come to pass, and he's been doing it for over a year. Now, when it came to December and things didn't happen, he had to come out. Then he came out and said that I didn't prophesy this. So why would he have to come out and say that when it's already proven time and time again? He's been going on all these different shows. Kirshen Joseph, too, as well, going on his show and talking about this. Here we go again, and here's another one. 45 being restored to White House, military backup. That was October 20th, 2021. So he's been going around spewing this out. And he hangs around the same people, like Julie Green and Bo Pony, who have been giving, what? False prophecies. So I had to clear this up because he was going around talking about it. I'm not trying to call him out. He's the one who said it. He's the one who's making it public. And if we can't talk about it or discuss it, thank goodness that I am learning all this stuff. Thank goodness that there are people that are following these prophecies. And, thank goodness I already had a reservation about all of them anyway. But I'm saying this because he was saying that he didn't prophesy this. But yet he was going around telling everybody to get ready for the return of 45. And I'm going to say this, folks. You cannot trust anything that any of these people are saying, not because they have one or two missed prophecies. These are prophecies that give dates and time frames that happen over and over and over and over again. And as something as important as the President of the United States, and they're getting it wrong, and they are saying that God said. Let me share this about wolves in sheep's clothing. Right? You know about wolves, you know about the scripture, right? But don't you know that wolves hunt in packs? They hunt in packs, and all these people, they all go on each other's shows, and they all go and promote each other, and they all go to the same conferences together. Wolves hunt in packs. Wake up. DJT is not the president. He hasn't been restored. He didn't win the 2020 election. Regardless of what you think, the person that is in power is currently signing laws in that are affecting me and you right now. And people have lost their lives believing some of this stuff. If he was in control, things would be much different. Once a life is gone, it's gone. That's it. So, and also a warning for those of you who continually promote these people and protect these people and make excuses for these people. As I said before, and I have been saying for a long time, that you're going to share in the same fate as they do. When the real false prophet comes, guess what? He's going to come like a wolf in sheep's clothing. He's going to sound like a Christian, act like a Christian, preach like a Christian, teach like a Christian. But guess what? There's going to come a time when he's going to say, he, the Antichrist, is the Messiah. And guess what? Some of you will be defending that Antichrist at that time because you will have been so deceived by then. It'll be too late. All right, folks, that is all that I have for today. I have about 2 more videos coming on this topic, and then we're going back to normal. And for those of you, I know that we do trust in your prophetic words, that we know that we do trust what God is sharing with you. Stay away from these wolves in sheep's clothing because it's going to infect you too as well. And it has for some of you. So that's all that I have for today. I thank you guys for listening. God bless. TC out.